Okay, good morning, everyone. We are now in Parakhas Mishna Gimel. Now, the halacha is, as we mentioned before, the one is not permitted to do schira, but it's commerce with produce. But the halacha is that one may sell small amounts of shmita, which is an amount sufficient for 3 meals. That's a small enough amount that it's not considered commerce, not considered doing business. So this Mishnah is working on the premise that there are, at the same time, there are going to be restrictions on that. So the Mishnah reads, "Ein moichlin perish shvius, v'loy b'mishkol, not by weight, b'minyan, nor by number." Even though the halacha is that small amounts may be sold, you have to sell it in a way that is not, and therefore you cannot sell it in the regular manner, which would be either, depending on what it is, volume, weight, or number. There are two reasons the Bartanura gives as to why this halacha is so. What's exactly the goal of not selling it in its regular manner? So according to one explanation, the goal of that is because, again, we don't want it what answer is, because if you cannot sell it by a measurement, and you basically got to sell it by rough, you're going to end up selling it for cheaper than usual. And Chazal wanted a person to sell cheaper than usual because it doesn't resemble commerce. So that's one reason why people know there's something unusual, something different about this produce. It has to be treated in very specific ways. So the fact that it's sold in an unusual way reminds people that this produce is unusual. It's Shemitah produce and has to be treated differently. And therefore, the Mishnah continues, you cannot sell figs by number. The explanation, the point of the Mishnah is that figs are not typically sold by number. Figs are typically. So now by selling them by number, you're already selling them differently than usual. That's not enough. It's not enough to say, well, I'm changing the way I measure. You can't use any measure. It's got to be a rough estimate. Nor can you sell a vegetable by weight. Typically, vegetables are sold in bunches. You buy X amount of bunches, and however each bunch is evaluated. Now you want to change the manner in which the vegetables are sold, and you want to do it by weight. You just have to just do basically a rough estimate and sell it as is. Now, by Oimrin, by Shammai say, Aflo Agudais. You cannot do it in bunches. So that means is, what I understand to mean, to be honest with you, what I understand that to mean is that you're doing this rough estimate. That means you've got these loose vegetables. You make some kind of a rough estimate to say how much it's going to cost. Now you want to bunch them together. Beis Shammai says you can't do that because at that level, by same way you got to make a rough estimate while it's loose, you got to sell it loose. You got to take it home loose, basically. Well, say something that you would bunch together at home. Are you going to say b'shuk? You could bunch it together in the shuk. For example, leeks and that you would bunch in your house. You could bunch it together. You can't bunch anything together. Meaning you may have sold it by rough estimate loose. You want to bunch it together afterwards to take it home. Beis Shammai say it's going to resemble commerce. You can't do it. Beis Hillel agree with Beis Shammai to a degree, and they say that if this is something that's not bunched in one's house, it's not put together in a house, that means it's only bunched in the marketplace, then bunching it is going to be considered, going to resemble commerce. But if this is something that you tie even at home, so tying it together is not a commerce characteristic, so then even out in the marketplace, you'll be able to do it according to Beis Hillel. Okay. And again, the focus of the Mishnah is the fact that we try to minimize any kind of appearance of commerce when it comes to produce of Shemitah. Okay, now we'll do the Sefer HaMitzvot. Mitzvah shloisas lo yachel chametz. Chametz shall not be eaten. Va'afilu b'hana aser. The Chavetz Chaim adds, one needs to know that the prohibition regarding eating, but it includes having any kind of benefit. One who eats the volume of an olive of chametz on Pesach. We're not talking about the small olives that we have nowadays. It means something large. If one does it intentionally, chayiv kares, that person would be liable for what we call severance, a certain punishment that a person's soul is cut off. B'shoigeg, if he does it unintentionally, chayiv chatas, he'd be liable to bring which we can't do nowadays, but one would have to wait for Mashiach to come and the Beis HaMikdash to be rebuilt to be able to do it. This prohibition is going to apply whether you eat it you haven't prohibited from the Torah to do. In this case, we will give that person lashes of disobedience for eating the kazayas of chametz. This applies in all places at all times, both by men and by women. Now, prohibition against eating a mixture of chametz and Pesach. The first mitzvah spoke about straight, kazayis of chametz. Now we're talking about chametz that's mixed into non-chametz food. That is also prohibited to eat on Pesach. As the pasuk states, any type of leaven one shall not eat. This is beinas ari b'minoi, beinas ari shaloi b'minoi. Whether the chametz is of a certain type and it got mixed into the same type of non-chametz, or got mixed into a different type of non-chametz food. If within a volume of food called a pras, which means a loaf, you have within that volume of food a kazayas of chametz, so it's a mixture. It's not chametz straight. It's chametz mixed in with non-chametz food. But you have a proportion of a kazayas of chametz within the volume of food that measures what's called a pras. You have transgressed the prohibition of eating machmetz. As eating chametz, there's no punishment of kares then. And if, let's say, you don't have a kazayas within the volume of a pras is literally translated as a half a loaf of bread, which I believe, according to some opinions, is the volume of 3 eggs, according to some 4 eggs. So if within this volume of permissible food, you have a kazayas of chametz, it'll come out that you'll eat the kazayas of chametz within the time. The whole kazayas will be eaten within the time of eating the amount of time it takes to eat a pras of food, this 3 or 4 eggs of food. Then you'd be liable for the prohibition, but there's no covers for it. Then ain boy kazayas b'achilos pras. But if you do not have the volume of a kazayas, volume of a olive of chametz, b'achilos pras, within the eating of the pras, within this volume of food of a pras, you don't have a kazayas of chametz. Maknas and makas marius. So again, there's no Torah prohibition, but he would receive lashes of disobedience midrabanan, according to rabbinical law. This applies at all times, both by men and by women. Have a wonderful day.